All right, guys, we are live on another Watercraft Journal IRL podcast. I am your host. My name is Kevin Shaw. Welcome for those who have never been. Welcome to those who have been and are old and salty like I am. Thank you for coming back. We are excited to have you guys here. It's going to be me tonight, no guests, but wanted to share some pretty exciting news. We're pretty excited about this, and we are going to be going over some news really quickly as people start to pile in, and then we'll get to the lesson. And I do have the dry erase board, but the dry erase board is empty because we actually have slides that I can use with the program. So we're really excited with the program that we have basically bought a subscription to. And so we're able to do a lot of really fun stuff, have more people in the studio, have more guests, and bring in more audio visual stuff. So it's actually pretty cool. First and foremost, want to remind everyone that the Watercraft Journal is a magazine first, a YouTube channel second. So if you want really cool race coverage, if you want really cool product reviews, if you're looking for industry news, you want to see what's for sale, what's coming up on different promotions, especially before riding season hits, for a lot of you guys who are more seasonal than I am, or basically everyone outside of Florida, but because it's endless summer in Florida. But for a lot of you guys, want to invite you to go over to www.watercraftjournal.com, where new articles are written and published every single day, Monday through Friday. And there's no subscription, there's no passwords, there's no downloads, there's none of that stuff. You can literally just check out the magazine as it comes. We write new articles Monday through Thursday with a newsletter recapping everything and including this video on Friday morning. So make sure to check it out. Really appreciate you guys going over there. Number two, we have, and we announced this earlier this year, but I wanted to remind it a couple times a month, is that we have Sandgator. Sandgator is the official PWC anchor of the Watercraft Journal for 2026. This anchor is entirely American made. It's made with American materials, and it's made in-house here in the States. Got to support the local boys. That's something we really like. And Sandgator is the official anchor for this year. We're really excited about it. Very simple to use. It is a stake style, STAKE, not the EKE or EAK. Sorry. It is a stake, like a tent stake. You stab it into the ground, use your foot, press it in. Works great. So it's one of the best ones we've used. It is not overcomplicated. It has not got hinges that will rust out, that will bind, that will need oiling, that will get salt and sand in them. So many of these overcomplicated, they're cool. Don't get me wrong. They're gimmicky. You look sci-fi. You look like you're Batman pulling the thing out of your front storage bin. But good Lord, you don't need something that complicated. Guys, a standard style stab-in stake that's actually going to pierce into the sand and get in between the rocks is the best thing that we've ever used. All right? We've been through a bunch of them. This is one of the best ones we've found. And it's not made with Chinesium. It's not Mickey Mouse. It is a really good piece. So go check out Sandgator. That's just like, the Florida Gators. All right. SANDGATORS. Sandgator.com. All right, guys. Thanks again. Really appreciate it. And we have something really cool. I'm letting the cat out of the bag a little early, but we will be announcing at the beginning of next month an all new presenting sponsor of the IRL podcast. That means that every Monday night, an IRL podcast will be brought to you by a new sponsor. And we're really excited to bring these guys on. This is something that I think a lot of you Lakeside folks who have some waterfront property or can rent or pull up to like a body beach. It's an open access waterfront property. You're going to want to check out what this is, and that is shoredocker.com. Shoredocker.com is we talked about it a little bit with Greg last week. Shoredocker.com is a roller style ramp. It's an aluminum ramp that unfolds and is bolted together. You need just a basic socket set, and it's got a boat winch on it, not an electric winch, just a hand crank winch with a lock, just like you got on your trailer. And this thing can fold up and fit in the bed of your truck, can fit in the back of a large SUV. I recommend a truck, but some people are going to ask, and they're going to try to cram it in the back of a Honda CR-V or something crazy. So, but the shoredocker.com, or Shore Docker, I should just call it, the Shore Docker extends out longer than your ski. All right. It goes into the water. It just lays down as a nice ramp, and you can bring your ski up. Don't drive it up, but you can bring it up, hitch up the front, and pull it up. So if you're renting a cabin, if you're staying at the in-laws and you're bringing your ski, and they don't have a dock, or they've got a crappy dock you don't want to go on, or you just want to get your ski out of the water, the Shore Docker is possibly one of the best things that I've seen. And I'll say it this way. I like products that solve questions, that solve problems that people don't think about. These guys are thinking about solutions. And when they came to us and they said, hey, we want you to check this out, and I started looking at it and I go, hold on. Because whether you're out on the Colorado River, renting a Airbnb in Parker, Arizona, or you're camping out on BLM land and you got some water access, or you're out in Florida and you live on a lake and you're staying at grandma and grandpa's house and you're bringing your ski out there and you don't want it sitting there getting full of slime for the weeks that you're going to keep it there or the days you're going to keep it out there, a Shore Docker is one of the coolest things that I've found. So we're going to have more on it, but I wanted to tease it first. It's something that, quite frankly, is solving problems that a lot of people don't even bother to ask. Okay, so that being said, we have a lot going on here. We're actually really excited, and I thought we needed to go over a topic that, quite frankly, we've done before. So a lot of you guys who are been around, a lot of you guys who have watched a lot of episodes of this channel might catch this as being something you've heard before. But it bears repeating because so many people are new. So many people are just getting their feet wet. They're just starting to shop around. This is early season for a lot of people. It's still early boat show season for a lot of people. So I wanted to talk about hull design, the different kinds of hull designs that exist in the world, how a lot of these hull designs are integrated into personal watercraft, because they are, and what you might expect behavior-wise from a particular unit with these attributes. Does that make sense? We'll start early, or we'll start easy, all right? The best way to start is this graph. Oh, sorry, that was the last one. We're going to end with seated. All right. So this graphic is literally hull types for beginners. All right. And it's not going to be terribly earth-shattering to see this, okay? Number one, going left to right, top to bottom. Thank you for the thank you for the support, guys. We really appreciate it all coming in. Stuart, thank you for the super sticker. Leroy, thank you for the support. Appreciate. If you guys have super chats, if you guys have a question that's just burning a hole in you, and you want me to answer your question live on the show, I do answer super chats at the end of the lecture or the end of, I guess, end of class. But if you want to get a super chat in, please submit your super chat so that I can answer your questions. All right. So let's go over this list. The first you're seeing is a displacement style hull. Okay. A displacement style hull does not have any lift. So when it accelerates, you're not going to see it bow up very much. It's not designed. All right. The displacement style hull is not designed for lift. It's not designed to get the hull out of the water and, pick up speed. A displacement style hull is primarily for stability in a lot of different kinds of water conditions. Okay. So it might be rough, it might be glass. A displacement is literally dispersing. It's dispersing water. It's pushing water out of the way so it can sit deep in the water. Okay. A large portion of a heavy boat, a tugboat, a passenger vessel, those are going to be displacement style hulls. Okay. A aircraft carrier is a displacement style hull. All right. It has very rounded chines, and we're going to go over what a chine is. We're going to go over skegs. We're going to go over a lot of the nautical terminology. All right. This is all, I'm going to use a lot of terminology that might not be in your normal vocabulary. It might not be in your regular lexicon. So I apologize. But we're going to use the parlance of a hull designer. We're going to use the vocabulary parlance of people who design and shape hulls. Okay. So a displacement style hull, all right, is meant to push water out of the way. It's meant to, you'll see a big boat wake. All right. They're going to push, it's going to move a lot of water. All right. That's the whole design of it. So the next one is a multi-hull. That's your catamaran. Okay. Any sort of like a Hawaiian, you see those traditional canoes with outriggers. Okay. Like one on either side or on both sides. If your little kids love watching Mulan, Moana. If they love watching Moana, they're going to see a lot of those Polynesian style boats. Right, those are multi-hulls. They figured that was ideal for stability, especially out when they're spearfishing and deep sea fishing. So a multi-hull, it's catamaran. Okay. Next, you're going to see, this is the third on the right. This is going to be a flat-bottomed hull. This is your barge. Okay. This is your Louisiana riverboat, Mississippi riverboat. It's a flat-bottomed boat, okay? A flat-bottomed boat is, where's your buddy with the cars? Good guy, glad you're back. So a flat-bottomed boat is for ultimate stability, all right? Ultimate stability. But the problem is that a flat-bottomed boat is possibly, and there's arguments, and that's why I say possibly, but is possibly the most reactive to water surface. All right. A barge is not going to do well in the open ocean. A Mississippi riverboat is going to do really badly out in the ocean. There were rumors of Civil War ironclads going way outside of the Intracoastal Waterway and way outside into the open Gulf and into the open Atlantic. Those boats would have been beaten apart because they were all flat-bottom boats. All right. None of them had any sort of displacement or hull. They didn't have any. There was not a lot of hull shaping to those. Okay. They were a flat-bottom boat that was designed, again, for stability. But when they're shooting cannon off of a Civil War ironclad that they wouldn't rock. All right. If it was a deep V hull, it might roll the damn thing over. If it was a displacement hull, you would see it do this. Okay. So the reason why Disney Cruises and Carnival Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean are not flat bottom boats, even though they're be great for stability, is because they're out in the open ocean. And the open ocean would beat this guy to death. All right. So let's go to the second hull. Yes, Leroy, very good comment. Leroy makes a very good observation. He writes, that means that a flat bottom boat are best for high horsepower and speed applications. He makes a salient point, but there is a couple catches. All right. Very good point, Leroy, but there's a couple catches to this. A flat bottom boat also has the most surface tension. That's what gives it its stability, is surface tension. The surface tension is drag. Now, what you do is that a flat bottom boat with a small keel or a moderate keel allows the boat to get up onto a planing surface with a small contact pad and cut across. You're right, only in glass. Again, only in glass. How many of you guys have heard about Cracker Box boat racing? Who's heard about Cracker Box boat racing? You ever heard the phrase Cracker Box? Okay. Cracker Box boat racing were effectively flat bottom little just little skiffs, but they've got a real deep drive, external drive, and you would see these guys get up and the damn boat wasn't even touching the water. Its literal outboard is what it was riding on. All right. Well, a lot of these jet drive boats, they have a the jet drive is hanging down a little lower and it's riding on a very small contact pad. Okay. Last week, Greg Gaddis and I talked about the conversion skis. Okay. And these were guys taking 2000, 2001, 2002, all the way up to 2008, 2009, Yamaha GP 1300R Yamahas and putting turbo or supercharged Sea-Doo engines in them. And those dudes were going 90 miles an hour on a really old school little one-seater. But when you see them, when you see photography of those conversion skis, almost the only thing touching the water is the ride plate. Okay. So it's contact pad. All right. Pad being the surface touching the water is as small as possible. Okay. So the conversion skis had a fantastic hull design that would basically get that whole damn ski out of the water. And the ride plate and the intake grate were barely touching as it shot along. In fact, the problem was that they would unhook the pump. Some guys were going so fast, the pump wasn't glued to the water. And so it would run out of water to shoot and it would go, and it would nose over. Okay. That was overstuffing. That was an FCR problem. So I don't want to get into that. Okay. But we talked about flat bottom boats. So I think we're all copacetic. We're all good on that. Let's move to the bottom row. All right. Bottom row is the most misused, misapplied name of all hulls. And that is the deep V hull. Deep V. All right. I'll make this hand motion. Deep V. All right. The deep V hull is literally what you're looking at. And that is, it's got a deep center keel. What's a keel? All right. Keel is the spine. Like you think of a Viking, a Viking row ship, a warship. You think of a Greek trireme. All right. Those rowing boats, where they, whip the slaves to row. All right. Those have a big center spine that's like made out of a single piece of wood, or it's an interlocked piece of wood that goes from tip to stern. That's where the keel comes from. In the case of a deep V, it doesn't have a single spine going down the middle, but it has a sharp edge. All right, it has a leading edge at the front, a prow, Prow, prow. Okay, and then it runs that sharp line all the way down the back. That deep V, to be a true deep V hull, has to carry. There's a percentage. I say almost all the way back. Most people will say, "Hey, a deep V hull has to run all, the whole way." If it's more than 50%, it's a deep V hull. All right, but a lot of boat makers will be like super anal about it. I'm being loosey goosey because we're talking jet skis. We're not talking boats. All right, so here's the problem with deep V hull. A deep V hull cuts, literally cuts. All right, it's cutting through the water, and as it cuts, it likes to lift. All right, because the water doesn't want to be split. So instead of being cut in half, the water will try to tend to push the deep V hull out of the water the faster it goes. So the faster a deep V goes, the higher it's going to ride. Okay. Now, why is that a problem? Why do people get concerned about that? Because at a certain point, as it rises out of the water, it suddenly becomes tippy. All right. When it's slow, look at it. Look at the picture. It's wide. It's sitting deep in the water. But as it goes faster, it's going to lift. All right. That's just physics. And as it lifts, it has less and less and less boat in the water. And so it can get tippy. Now go back up and look at the displacement. Displacement has just as deep. All right. It goes just as deep, but it's got a lot more boat in the water. Okay. So as it goes faster, it's going to not lift as easily. All right. It's not as sharp of an angle. So it's going to be really slow to lift out. Most of you guys know I used to race Kawasaki's and I used to race the Ultras. Okay. I didn't race the little guys. I'm a bigger guy. I would slow down the fast little stuff. All right. Guys like Craig Warner, guys like Dustin Farthing, guys like, Chris McCluggage, they're heroes, but they're jockeys. They're real lean and they're not very tall. All right. You don't see a lot of jet ski racers who are 6'2" and 250 pounds, at least successful ones. So I bring that up because the Ultra is a blend, and all jet skis are blends of hull designs. There's not one true blankety blank. There's not one true Yamaha blank, or there's not one true Sea-Doo blank, or whatever. The Kawasaki Ultras, all right, the supercharged Ultras, are a blend of deep V and displacement. Okay. That 23-degree dead rise, that real sharp dead rise, that sharp bow angle, only carries for like the first third of the boat. All right. Then it starts to mellow that edge out, and it starts to balloon that edge out. All right. That outside chine starts to swell. Why? Because they know, hey, at full speed, this thing's going to be rocking and rolling. And most people don't want to be rocking and rolling. And to that effect, at slower speeds, we want people to feel very stable. We don't want them to feel like the boat's going to roll over. We want them to feel like, hey, it's safe and secure. So the Ultra, although being the only true, real deep V hull, still isn't a true 100% deep V. All right. The one that I give the credit most for being a deep V hull, I'm telling you right now, isn't 100% a deep V hull. So understand there's no sacred cows in this conversation. Okay. Got that? Pontoon doesn't count. Everyone knows what a pontoon is. If you don't know what a pontoon is, you should probably not buy a jet ski. You should probably buy a pontoon. All right. So I said we were going to talk about chines and some of the other language of boat building. Let's get into it. Okay. So here's where the rubber hits the road, quite literally. And that is where we get into what makes a hull fast. Okay. What makes a hull behave the way it does. So here we go. I wish I could point to you. You're going to have to look at the graphic that I've produced here. But I went through and I made PDFs and I uploaded everything here. So hopefully everyone can see what I'm talking about. But for you guys who are listening just audibly and you're driving or you're doing whatever, I apologize. This is a very visual medium today. So you have my sincere apologies. All right. So let's go left to right, top to bottom. Top left corner says round bottom hull. What watercraft would have a round bottom hull? Okay. That is a hull that is playful. That is a hull that wants to roll. That is a hull that has very little resistance. And that is a hull that's going to act more like a displacement hull. Okay. Right now, we don't have a lot of displacement style hulls out on the market. Okay. That is primarily because of the buyer today. The buyer today ages far older than when I was first getting into the sport. It's just the reality is. Dealers would tell you that the average buyer is 55, but weirdly enough, the person whose name is on the pink slip is typically over 62 years old. So, anyways, the round bottom hull is, again, like a displacement hull. It is a very smooth, slow-going, high-drag hull design. All right? So let's move to the next one. A soft chine deep V. See, we're mixing already two different descriptions. They're calling it a deep V, although does that really look like a deep V to you and me? Not really. But it has a pronounced V or a pronounced keel. All right. It's very obvious to see that there is an angle coming at a V, but it has a soft chine. So let's look at the image below. It's not a jet ski, I know, but let's look at the image below, and you're going to see where it says reverse chine. Okay. Well, chine, C-H-I-N-E, chine. Don't worry about the reverse part. That's specific to that boat design, but this was one of the best illustrations that I could find online of all of the different attributes of a hull design. So the chine, by most definitions, is going to be your outermost edge. It's going to be where the flat bottom or the angled bottom of the hull meets the angled side of the sidewall of the hull or the gunnel of the hull. Okay. So in this illustration, we go back to the top middle. You're going to see that it's got a very gentle inside wall or gunnel, and then it's going to have a sharp angle, not a 90-degree angle, but a very prominent angle that runs suddenly to the bottom side of the hull, although it's pitched. And it doesn't have to be flat. These don't have to be extreme boxes. These do not have to be perfect right angles. But it goes to the V. All right. I want you to pay attention to chine. Chine and to the effect of a round chine or a soft chine. And you'll see below it says hard chine. Excuse me. a hard chine, and a soft chine. Okay. Why are we talking about this? What difference does a chine make? I'm going to illustrate to you that Sea-Doo's most prominent hull has an incredibly hard, prominent outside chine. Most people who are riding full-size Sea-Doos today do not realize that they are riding a boat with the most aggressive outside chine I've seen produced in 30 years. And I'm not kidding. All right. Versus the RXPX, which is called the T3R hull, has a surprisingly soft outside chine. And I'll show you this. Okay. I have images here. I'll show you. Don't get me wrong. I brought receipts. Okay. But then it says soft chine with a flat bottom. Find me a flat bottom jet ski and I'll buy you a steak dinner. New one. I should say new. There's a few flat bottoms. All right. So the soft chine deep V is going to be your GTI, GTR hull, or your GTI hull, your GTR and GTRX hull. All right. It is a soft chine with a what they call a deep V or a pronounced V. Okay. It is almost all Yamahas. Okay. Yamaha has a very soft chine. They learned this. All right. Now, I will show you something really funny is that in some Yamahas, they have progressive chines that go from round to sharp or sharp to round. And that is for a specific reason. Okay. And I want to get down to the next row. We're in the second row, first one in the second row, where it says multiple chine. And you see all these hard lines. Okay. Well, that illustration, I'm going to say right now is incorrect. And I got that from goboating.com. All right. It's incorrect because what they're trying to illustrate multiple chines, but what they are illustrating is chines with lifting strakes. And I look down at the bottom. All right. That bottom image in purple, it highlights purple lifting strakes. Well, what's a lifting strake? All right. Versus a chine. Let's do an illustration. Unfortunately, I do not have a visual aid to pantomime with my hands. I wish I had something that was so I could work. Shoot. We did, for you old schools who've been around for a long time, the Barbie townhouse did get sold. My girls are too old for it. And with the Barbie townhouse went the bathtub. And I used to illustrate hull design by drawing on my kid's bathtub. My kid's Barbie bathtub. That was fun. It was really low rent. We like to keep things real humble around here. Anyway, real low tech. Anyways, so what do these things do? What can I as a jet ski rider expect these things to do? All right. Well, let's talk about a sharp chine or a hard chine. They like to use the word hard. I've heard sharp. But a hard chine or a soft chine. So a soft chine means that when you go into a corner and it's got an inside lean, then it's leaning towards the inside of the turn. As it does that, a soft chine will allow you a very smooth transition. That means you're just going to go woo and roll naturally onto that outside chine. And if you're real aggressive, you could be on the side of that ski. You ever seen stand-up jet ski riders who are just absolutely got the ski on the bond rail? It's totally on its side. You're like, how the heck are they even turning? All right. That's an extreme example. But in the case of a aggressive jet ski racer, you're going to see them on that outside chine, And that outside chine is going to act like a blade cutting through the water. And if it's a soft chine, it's like a sidewall on a motorcycle where a guy's leaning in the corner, going around the corner really smooth, and he's going to roll on that tire. He doesn't want a sharp, he doesn't want tire tread and then a sidewall, because if he does that, that bike's going to wash out from underneath him. But if he's got a real nice rounded sidewall on the tire, or he's got a really nice rounded outside chine, that ski, I don't care if it's a giant 3-seater that weighs 1,000 pounds or if it's a stand-up, it's going to roll real smooth, and it's going to progressively go around that corner. Okay? What does a sharp outside chine do? Or a hard outside chine? I have to correct myself. I am sorry. I'm using language that doesn't coincide with my graphic. Sorry. So when a person with a hard outside chine tries to make that corner, that chine will do one of two things. And that depends on the weight of the ski. It depends on the speed. It depends on the surface. All right. Water is a dynamic surface. It's not like an asphalt road that you can count on every time as long as it's dry. Water is always moving. Water temperature, barometric pressure will change how the water behaves. It will literally change behavior of water depending on how humid it is, or how cold it is, or how hot it is. But if you come in that same turn with a ski with a hard chine, it could, keep you from rolling. It can literally be a stop. It can literally go, nope, you can't go any further than this. And it'll stop you. Okay, fine. And the manufacturer doesn't want you leaning on the outside of that ski. Okay, fair enough. Or it's not only designed to be a dramatic turn, a dramatic whoop, instead of a progressive, it wants you to go and really bite. And if you really bite, it's going to act like a blade, and it's going to cut. All right. But most watercraft with a very hard outside chine, they do not want that startling outside, that startling clunk where you roll to the outside. They don't want that. They want it to act like, they want that chine to stop you from rolling over. Okay? That's why it's there. Most hull shapers for today, Yamaha, Sea-Doo, Cowie, when they put a hard chine on something, they're designing it with training wheels. They're designing it to keep the rider from doing something they're not ready to do. Do you understand me when I say that? I'm not trying to be pedantic. I'm not trying to condescend or rail on anyone, but I am making the point that it is there for a purpose, and 9 times out of 10, that purpose is there to keep you from doing something you weren't expecting to do. Got it? All right. Now, multiple chines, as the illustration will show, means that you're going to not have a smooth transition. You're going to have a stepped transition. Okay? The Yamaha GPR 1800, which is the same hull as the VXR and the same hull as the VX, has multiple chines. It's got 2. And then it goes into lifting strakes. Those multiple chines are to act as level 1 turn, stage 1 level of turning, stage 2 level of turning. And an experienced rider is going to be able to feel those differences and know where they are. The same way an experienced driver goes, with an automatic, he's like, or even with a stick shift. He's like, okay, I'm going around the corner in third, and this is what the car likes to do. Maybe I should go into the corner at second and then shift into third as I hit the apex, or I enter the corner at third and then I I bump into fourth as I go around. An experienced rider is going to be able to feel what the ski or what the car, what I was trying to explain, is doing, and if it likes it or not. And if it, if it's a light rider or a heavy rider, if it's rough conditions or smooth conditions, all those things play a factor in how the cornering happens. So let's talk about strakes. Okay. Here in the illustration, they just outright call them lifting strakes. Most of the time, you're not really going to you're not going to see Yamaha or Cowie or Sea-Doo, for that matter, call them lifting strakes. They just call them strakes. But a strake is effectively a shape that's integrated into the bottom side of the hull. So it's typically facing down, not out, but down. And they act as a couple things. They act as a type of skeg, or a skeg is like skeg is like what you would see on the bottom of a sailboat or the bottom of a surfboard. All right. You see surfboards have 3 fins. Those are technically called skegs. All right. A single skeg, triple skeg, whatever. What that's designed to do is to basically be I won't say rudder, because that rudder you're steering, but basically be a blade to cut through the water and keep it tracking straight, almost like a roller coaster track. Okay. But there's another benefit to a strake. And the benefit of the strake is that it helps break up the surface tension. Remember, I talked about surface tension on like flat bottom boats, on pontoon or flat bottom and displacement boats. As the ski or the hull starts to rise out of the water, the lifting strake is breaking up that surface tension to make that process happen faster. Okay? That makes sense? I like lifting strakes. Lifting strakes in my book are very good, but I can see reasons why they might not be integrated. And we can talk, and we'll talk about that in just a second. All right. So that lifting strake, in fact, I got an image here. I wonder if I can pull that guy up. Let me see here. Can I pull this guy up? I wasn't planning on running this one. Image file. Here we go. Here is an image of a Yamaha boat. Not jet ski, but a boat. All right. That upward facing V. All right. That upward angled V that's going up towards the top. All right. That is a very hard chine. That is a very hard outside chine. It's a very prominent outside chine. Okay. That means that Yamaha put that there on purpose so that the ski wouldn't, or the boat, I'm not saying ski, it's a boat. It's a boat. It's a full-size boat. They have that very prominent outside chine so that the boat won't roll too far to one side or the other. All right. It exists almost like a miniature flat bottom boat. Now, let's look down. It's got a very sharp keel, very deep V hull. Very deep V hull. All right. But look at those Wolverine looking claws coming up the sides of it. Okay. Those are your lifting strakes. Those are there to break up the surface tension. And as the boat rises out of the water, to act like a shelf. All right. Sorry. So as it accelerates, it's bumping up. It's moving up. And those strakes help it keep its track. All right. What you see here is almost no different than what you'd see on a personal watercraft anyway. All right. I'm going to talk about one more thing very quickly, and then we're going to go into brand specific. All right. So let's go to this image. All right. This image is what a difference between a stepped and non-stepped hull is. The first image has no steps. And you see all these boats are operating at this planing surface. It's coming up to plane. It's coming. Oh, are we going out? Okay. I have a friend to introduce you guys to. But okay, let's talk about this first. So the first boat would be like a Yamaha or a Cowie, wherein there's no steps to the hull. All right. And so what you're looking at is really the blue on this image. The blue that you see on the image here is going to be its surface area. All right. How much drag is in the water? How much boat is beneath the water surface? Gotcha. All right. And how I was talking about like the guys who jet ski, who race jet skis, and you just barely see the ride plate and the pump in the water, and the rest of the boat is totally out of the water. All right. They're on a very small surface area. Now, if you get to the second one, you're going to see step one. It's got one step. All right. Look at the surface area compared to the first one. It's a third of the surface area. It's an absolute fraction of the surface area. And if we go to two steps, all right, one step beyond, madness joke. If you go to two steps, you're going to see it's got even less surface area, which is less drag, okay? But it's still stable. You'll also see the pitch of the bow. That bow pitch with a stepped hull, a two-stepped hull is barely nosing up versus a no-stepped hull, which is like doing a wheelie. Just hauling butt. But a two-step is sitting there very, very flat. Come here, buddy. Come on. Come here. Come say hi. Come say hi. Come here. Oh, come here. Oh, you come here. Oh, yeah. Let's say hi to everyone. Let's say hi to everybody. Hey, everyone. This is my new friend. This is Ranger. Ranger is blending into my hoodie. All right. I picked up Ranger Saturday morning. He's a rescue because unfortunately animal control was called by Nashville police. They had to do a house raid, and I believe the rest of his family unfortunately had to be euthanized. But someone at animal control called the local Humane Society and said, please save this dog. And so they picked him up and brought him over, and they didn't have it. Our Humane Society over here in Sumner County, Tennessee, they're booked. They are slammed. They got so many dogs, and so he was hanging out like in the girl's office, and I went over there Friday night, and they said, do you like labs? I'm like, I grew up with labs. I love labs. And they go, we got a black lab. And I said, oh, okay. And he's about 4 months old. And I know, hello. Oh, yes. Thank you so much for the kisses. Thank you for the kisses. Thank you so much. And but he's not 100% black lab. That white stripe right there and his brow makes me think, I think he's got boxer in him. I think he's got a little bit of boxer in him. But you guys, look at the paws on this dude. Look at the paws on this little guy. He's got paws on him. I think this dude's going to be about 75 pounds. I think he's going to be a moose. I think he's going to be a moose. Yeah. So I've been sleeping in a sleeping bag on an air mattress down in my office because his kennel's down here, and this guy is glued to me. He's my shadow. In fact, it was really funny. I put him outside this morning. I'm like, his food and his water. I put him outside, but we've got dog doors that go through the garage, and you guys can see the dog door that's right through there. Well, I'm about to jump in the shower, and I can hear the dog doors. I'm like, uh-oh. And the next thing I know, I'm in the shower, and I see this face pressed up against the glass, just like waiting for me. And I'm like, the door to my bathroom automatically just kind of closes on its own. I'm like, this little guy just got himself stuck in the bathroom with me while I'm taking a shower. And he just after he's like, what are you doing, Dad? What are you doing? Oh, that looks fun. Great. So anyway, this guy is just absolutely my shadow. It's really funny. He's surprisingly mellow. He's super duper mellow. So he's really easygoing. He doesn't bark. He doesn't cry. He doesn't whine. He's been real good about not pooping in the house, but we got to watch him like a hawk because he'll pee. In fact, I think we've had about 3 accidents today, and no, we had 2 today. We had 3 yesterday. We're just working on it. Just got to get him used to going outside. But he had a lazy day today. I was in the office most of today, but I just wanted to show off. I wanted to show this guy off. Come on, say hi. Oh my gosh, you're acting like a bag of sand. What's going on here? Yeah. All right. Well, let's get back to the podcast, huh? Let's get back to the podcast. You got all your toys down there, huh? Okay. Let's go down. Ugh. And he doesn't shed. Ugh. My blue heeler, I'd be wearing half that dog's hair if I did that with my blue heeler. Holy cow. This dog doesn't shed. It's a gift from heaven. Okay. So let's get back to this. Okay, here we go. So why do I bring this up? Sea-Doo back in 2009 started figuring out that they could partially step their hulls. You guys remember the S3? That was a 3-step hull. It wasn't really 3, but it was a partial step. Okay. And, but you can see step designs integrated into their hulls. And where I'm going to show you, the problem is that there's no real good images that we get, and any good real studio images of the hulls of personal watercraft. Unfortunately, we just don't get good pictures of them. So the best way that I can get a picture is guys doing crazy stuff like this. All right. Now, the gold hull that you're seeing on the left is an RXPX. It is not an RXTX. It is not what is called an ST3. That is an RXPX. That is the T3R hull. I want you to look at the outside chine. That is the shiny part below the sponson. I know you guys can't see my cursor. I wish you could. Where it says Sea-Doo, look at the shiny part below that. That is the round, very soft, very round outside chine of the RXPX. The RXPX is designed to roll on the inside in a corner and to corner naturally. I am watching that dog. He was sleeping for the first half of this podcast, and now I just don't want him. I got the back door open for a reason. I'm letting all the bugs in, but I'm trying to let this guy go in and out, especially while I'm doing this. Sorry. So Sea-Doo intentionally integrates this really soft outside chine. I'm hoping everyone can see that. But I want you to run your eyes down and look at the second chine. All right. because it's certainly not a strake. That's a chine. And that chine is segregated. All right. Looks like a saw blade. Well, what the heck is that? Right? Well, when they introduced the redesigned RXPX, when they came out with the T3R hull, okay, it was in 2021. Went down to Florida to go test ride it. And they were looking at me like, you know why that's there? They called the shark gills. And I was like, I know why that's there. I'm like, why is that? I go, because you got too many morons who bought the previous generation RXPX and they didn't know how to corner in it. They didn't know how to take a hard turn in it. I go, and the reason being was that the original RXPX, all right, was designed for closed course racing. That's what it was designed to do. And the reason why it was a problem was what the problem was. And let me back up. There existed a problem with the hull design. And it wasn't because the hull design was bad. It was because people were misusing it. They were using the RXPX to do long, sweeping, cruising corners. All right? La-di-da-di-da-di-da, farting around on the lake, listening to music, blah, blah, blah. Okay? And the RXPX doesn't want to do long, lazy S-turns. It wants to do hairpin corners at 70 miles an hour. And the original hull design was meant to do that. The problem was the problem why it didn't do those corners, those long sweeping corners well, was because you had so much surface tension biting the water and wanting it to hook. So they had to break up the surface manually just to get it to loosen up and allow the RXPX to be more casual. The T3R is less R. It's more R in the previous edition, except for they did a whole mess of changes around the pump tunnel, and they have a far more aggressive pump inlet. So there were racy attributes added to it. Look beneath the saw blade. Look beneath those shark gills, whatever you want to call them. That is the only chine you're going to find. Okay? The only chine you're going to find is that. I'm using the wrong word. Oh, I misspoke. The only strake you're going to find. Sorry, guys. Sorry. The only strake you're going to find on the entirety of that hull is inside. Is just inside of those shark gills, which is the outside or the inside chine. All right. What about the keel? What about the nose? All right. Those layers that you're seeing are quite literally splash deflectors. That's why they exist. They're on damn near everything. Okay. Those splash deflectors keep water from kicking back and kicking up over the bow. That's it. There's nothing performative as far as speed or performance that gives you any sort of edge. The only way that you're going to possibly see a benefit from it is nose down cornering and you're breaking up the surface tension. But again, you're using more of where the center weight of the hull is, the center weight of mass. So again, you're not seeing radical benefits out of that kind of layered or shielded front nose. So let's look at the other two pictures. I got a front picture of an RXTX. Let me take the banner off just so that you can see that keel. All right. That pronounced keel is hilariously what Sea-Doo calls a deep V hull. That is not a deep V hull. All right. That is a pronounced prow. that is a pronounced keel. That it has a name. It's been named. It's been that way for about 600 years. All right. Since man first learned to harness wind, we knew what a pronounced keel was, or a pronounced prow. Here's the problem with a pronounced prow, especially if you look and you stick your face up against the screen, you're going to see convex. You're going to see convex alcoves. You're going to see that it's actually going in, not out, not concave, but convex. Am I backwards? Please tell me I'm backwards on that. Have I been saying it wrong? It is concave, like a cave in. I'm an idiot. Maybe I'm sleep deprived. I don't know what just happened. Concave. It is Will you get your nose out of the trash, you little raccoon? Cut that out. You want to sit in my lap? Or you just want to make trouble? Are you gonna make trouble? Are you trouble? Yeah, you're trouble. All right. Ranger. Did I tell you guys his name was Ranger? His name's Ranger. All right. And okay, so concave. Wow, can't believe I said convex. Concave. Those are concave alcoves there in the bow. What it does, and what a lot of people are not hip to understanding what it's doing, and they just think, well, that's just the way it is. Wrong. Drew is 100% correct. Drew is singing to the choir or preaching to the choir here, and that is it hunts in chop. What do I mean when it hunts? Imagine if you took the rudder off the back of a boat and put it on the front. It's bow steering. All right? It's hunting. And when it's choppy, not glassy, if it's glassy out, or even maybe a foot. Yeah, maybe you have some white caps out on the lake and you're trying to get home because it's rough. But as you're on an ST3, this is the one on the right is an ST3 hull. Okay? The gray one and the undershot, the white hull or the blue hull that you're seeing the undershot. Okay? Both of those are ST3s. These are the full-size 3-seaters. This is your Explorer Pro. This is your Fish Pro. This is your Wake Pro, your RXT. This is your GTX. This is your GTX Limited. This is your how many other models do they have of this thing? The Moose Pro. I don't know. It has this nose. All right. Now, if you're going full speed and you've got the trim set all the way up, that nose is out of the water. The nose is not going to bother you, especially on glass. It's not. But I want you to look at the underside image right there. You're looking at the hardest outside chine of any personal watercraft sold today. And that is intentional. That intentional outside chine is to keep this full-size 3-seater from rolling onto its outermost edge. It wants to be stable. They know who's going to be buying this. They know who's going to be buying this because what's the number one thing that everyone loves about the ST3? Say it together, kids. The center storage. Everyone loves the center storage. And why do they love the center storage? Because it's not bow storage. And why don't they like bow storage? Because they're big fat slobs who need to double over the handlebars and reach down into the front of the ski to pull something out of it. Okay? I'm overweight too, so I'm including myself on that. So boo-hoo-hoo, don't go, Kevin's big, because make fun of fat people. I need to lose about 35, 40 pounds. So I need to get back on a race trip. This sucks. I hate being old. All right. So the ST3 hull knows who its audience is. And why is it? Why is it, Drew's making me laugh. Sorry, guys. Why is it that the ST3 hull, although bigger and heavier, can go faster than an RXPX when modded the same? Because, like what was said earlier, it's a flat-bottomed hull. All right. That flat he's playing with toys right now. I'm just making sure he doesn't pee on the carpet. That flat bottom hull allows this ski less drag, less resistance, quicker planing speed. So, of course, the RXTX, yes, the RXTX and GTX and Fish Pro and Explorer Pro and Wake Pro. Will you cut it out, you goof? They all share the same hull, which means they all share the same characteristics. There is no physical difference between any of those hulls. There is no physical difference between any one of those hulls. Anything on the ST3 is no different. There's no different intake crate. There's no different ride plate. The sponsons hardly function at all anyways, and they're almost entirely the same. All right. So, why do we talk about this? Why bring this up? The purpose of me bringing all this up is for you to be a conscientious buyer when you're looking at the ski you want to buy. I want you to be able to get down on your butt, sit on your butt as you're in the dealer. If you're on the dealer floor or you're at a boat show, I want you to get down in front of that ski. I want you to sit down on your butt, and I want you to get down and I want you to look. Not at bond rail height, because when you look at bond rail height, this is what you get. This is the angle you get if you sit and look at the bond rail. Well, that's not what this hull looks like all the way through. You're looking down. You need to get down as far down as you can, scooch down, and see where the bottom of the hull is. And when you get down, you will see if the bottom of the hull looks like this or if it looks flat like this. The ST3 is flat. That keel exists for less than 35% of the entire boat. All right? Just like the RXPX. Look at that picture. That thing flattens out. It's not real flat. It has a V to it. But that thing flattens out before you even get beneath the handlebars. Same story with the RXTX. The bow is an aggressive bow, but it doesn't run the whole length of the ski. If you're looking for rough water prowess, you're looking for rough water performance, you're looking for tracking true at speed, you want a deep V hull. If you're looking for a good all around, then you're looking for a moderate. You're looking for something like here. You're looking for like a soft chine deep V. All right, that's a progressive hull. All right, it's something like a Yamaha, something like a GTI. I push people onto GTIs all the time. I push people onto VXs and GTIs more than anything else in the world. I truly do. When they ask me, "Hey, Kevin, you're the jet ski," I'm like, just shut up. Go get a GTI 170 and get the SE. You'll like it. The GTI SE 170 is a great ski. It is the Goldilocks of all jet skis, in my opinion. Or a VX Cruiser. I prefer the 1.9 liter. Well, I would say 1.8, but the 1.9 liter. 1.9 liter is 200 horse. It's great. Go get a VX HO 1.9. You'll be happy as a pig in slop. You'll love it. All right. It's just a good all-around hull. It's not too aggressive. It's not too boring. It's quick. It's exhilarating. It's comfortable. You'll stay moderately dry. It doesn't do anything too extreme. So that's been my suggestion to most folks. And then they come back and they go, well, my wife really likes the ST3 because of the center storage, so we're going to get that. And I go, okay, well, then, I'm glad you bothered me with your text messages. I'm glad I wasted time in writing this long response to you. That was a lot of fun for me. Woo. And I'm really glad you did it at 9:30 at night on a Saturday. Because that's how I want to spend my Saturdays, is talking to yahoos who don't know how to look at jet skis. Anyway. But the hull design is hull design. And hull design is the most unsung. Hey, quit biting that blanket. I got a big old blanket in that kennel, and he is gnawing the snot out of it. You cut that out. I know you're bored. I'm sorry. I'm working. Hey, I'm going to throw something heavy at you. You cut that out. It's a big old moving blanket that I had. Little turd. Cut it out. I told you. You want to go outside? I'll put you outside. That's your bed, dingus. Goofy dog. All right. So, we covered that. I'm going to take that dog outside. He is very clearly bored of his toys, and he wants to roughhouse, and I can't roughhouse with him right now. Stop chewing that blanket. No. Okay. Good boy. Stop. He's giving me the side eye right now. Yeah. Unbroken eye contact. It's creepy, isn't it? Puppies. All right. So, all that to be said, pay attention to hull design. Be thoughtful about where you're going to be riding. Do you live on the coast? You're going to be in the ocean. You live on a river? You're going to be in the river. You're going to live on a lake? You know what that lake looks like. So be attentive as to what kind of water conditions you plan on riding in. And then buy a ski that's going to reflect those sorts of conditions. All right? I would hate to live in the north where it really snows. I mean, really, like you guys make fun of us, Tennesseans, when we're like, there's snow on the ground. And it's like, calm down. All right. But I would hate to live somewhere that didn't have all-wheel drive, or with a car that didn't have all-wheel drive. I would or four-wheel drive, four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. All right. I would buy a vehicle that's commensurate to the weather conditions I'm living in. All right. It would be very dumb of me to live in Canada and buy a convertible, because I'll be able to drive that car for maybe 6 weeks out of the year. He brought a stick in. He's chewing a stick in my office. Okay, so let's answer some super chats, and hopefully you guys were able to pull something out of it. Hey, that does not belong in here, you little hobo. All right. So Leroy, thank you again for the support. Stuart, thank you again for the support. Dana brings up, you were right, I was wrong. We once discussed lightening the ultras You said it would be unstable. Maybe pay attention to my GPSVHO. When low on fuel, it's faster, but far more unstable at low speeds. Again, that goes back to the displacement. And it just is displacement. And Kawasaki benefits from its weight. It benefits from its weight for a couple of reasons. Number one, it is traditional fiberglass with gel coat. That's simply heavier. Steel is heavier than aluminum. It's just the way it is. All right. Magnesium's lighter than aluminum. So, you saw a lot of lightweight cars using magnesium during the 50s and 60s on stuff. But then they found out that magnesium burns really, really hot, and car accidents could be bad. So they stopped using a lot of magnesium in, like transfer cases and stuff like Volkswagen. All right. So Kawasaki benefits from the weight in a couple ways. First, it allows it to track through the water pretty reliably without offloading the pump, without bucking, without feeling like you're getting your teeth knocked out. Kawasaki benefits from weight because, I hate to say it, but because of how deep that V is, if it was higher in the water, it would be really tippy. So if it's heavier, it sits deeper in the water, and it doesn't feel so tippy, so unstable. So now, don't get me wrong, the guys who go out there and they race Cowies, they don't give a rat's about how tippy it is or how unstable it is. They want to get the weight out of it so they can go faster. I don't blame them. I get it. I understand. But they're also not going to take weight out of the hull so much because they don't want to weaken the hull. And the hull takes a lot of beating. So, Dana, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you reaching out. All right. Leroy Jenkins. Could you go over what you wear for cold rides in sub 40 degree weather? Wetsuit, underarm clothing, what kind of gloves? Okay. I see Leroy overlanding. It makes me think you're in Australia. And do you mean 40 degrees Fahrenheit or 40 degrees Celsius? I will wear typically a full suit. It's all about layers. And a lot of this stuff is not Coast Guard approved, is not what you would recommend to a lot of people. I remember we had a guy 5 years ago or 4 years ago. I said, hey man, snowmobile gear. It's water resistant. It's waterproof. Wear snowmobile gear. And this guy lost his ever-loving mind. He threatened to sue me. He was screaming at me. And he told this sob story how his dad's best friend wore a bunch of snowmobile gear on his Sea-Doo, and he fell off his Sea-Doo, and it filled up the bib, the bib that he was wearing, overalls filled up with water and sank him like an anchor. And he goes, "You're going to get people killed. You're going to kill people." Ah! And he's screaming and yelling. And I said, you know what? You're right. You are right. The problem is I'm expecting you not to fall off like a dickhead. I don't fall off of skis. I have good balance, even for being overweight. I haven't been thrown off a ski, and I can't tell you. I literally cannot tell you the last time I've been thrown off a ski and been surprised. I mean, I know it was after, like, my last jet ski race was a closed course race. No, that's not true at all. I did Catalina in 14. I got thrown off during a race in 2009. I mean, I got ejected. But I have not fallen off a jet ski on accident, like totally caught off guard, in 16 years. All right. I don't fall off jet skis, and I ride harder than most people do. And when I say that, they go, "Oh, you're full of crap." And then I go on a group ride, and they're like, dude, this isn't a race. Calm down. And I go, "Oh, okay. Okay." I mean, I go back to riding with the Great Lakes riders. They're like, "We ride hard." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I'm on a bone. And all these guys are modified. Every single one of these guys are on skis that can do 80. And I'm on a bone stock Kawasaki freaking Ultra 310 LX, whoop-de-doo, bells and whistles, total pig, tops out at 67 miles an hour. And there was one guy who was a former motocross racer named John Repack, and he and I were gone. We were gone. And he looked at me and he goes, "I don't believe that Cowie's bone stock." I go, "Why?" And he goes, "No one can keep up with me but you." And I go, "Oh, it's because I'm not a dickhead. I know how to ride." And he started laughing. And sure enough, we got into the soup, and I just kept it pinned, but I knew how to ride. I know how to ride a Cowie. I know what a Cowie wants to do. And I know how to read water. And this guy's on a Yamaha going, "Ah!" But he's never hooked because he's just pinned down going, "Wing, wing, wing, wing." The Cowie's going click, 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 click. So there's a lot of averages. I mean, yeah, he'd get me on glass. If it was mirrored finish, he was vanished. And all of a sudden, a couple other guys, and I'd be pinned out, ringing out the freaking Cowie. But as soon as he saw Whitecaps, I was like, bye-bye. It was easy. So no, I don't fall off. So why do I say all that? I'm going to give you bad advice. I'm going to give you bad advice, Leroy, because what's going to happen is that you're going to wear the stuff I wear and go, I'll die if I fall in the water. I'm like, yeah. You know what I wear when I go in the water? A pair of long pants, Dickies pants, my steel-toed waterproof boots, some thick wool socks. I have a wetsuit underneath. I typically throw a long sleeve t-shirt or a hoodie. And then above that, I wear the Wind Rider jacket over a life vest. So I have a hoodie on with a life vest over it. I put the Wind Rider jacket on because that's the best foul weather jacket I've ever had the joy of using. And mine is like 8 years old, and I love it. I love it. It is, and I did a review on the magazine forever ago. You can go to the magazine and read it. It's one of the best foul weather jackets. It does not have a life vest integrated into it. Slippery has a jacket with a life vest integrated into it. It's good. If you don't own one, hit up Slippery. They have one. But my ears and my neck and my hands and my feet, my extremities get cold. And when they get cold, they hurt. And if my hands are hurting and my ears are hurting, and especially my feet, if my toes and my feet are freezing, I'm miserable. So I get Dickies makes a big thick wool sock or a thermal sock. I'll wear a thermal sock or a wool sock. There's a reason why Irish fishermen still wear sheep's wool. All right. It works. But again, it is not what I'd recommend people to wear because guess what? You fall in the sink, you fall in that water, you're going to sink like a stone. Steel-toed boots might as well be concrete, concrete shoes. You'll drown. All right, that life preserver ain't going to keep all those layers up. But I don't do stupid stuff when it's cold because I don't want to swim when it's cold. And I never get thrown off. I'm sorry. Maybe that's just bragging, but it's never a concern of mine. It's like Michael Jordan. I remember them saying, like, you know, how do you deal with losing a championship? Because I don't lose championships. And he's like, I don't lose when it counts. It's like, oh, okay. But anyway, all right. But thank you, Leroy. I appreciate that. Drew's got a super chat. Drew says, I just got an RXPX 325. Do you have any preferences between the Callis cam and the Kelford cam from Ruthless Racing? I trust Ernesto Callis immensely more than Ruthless. Ruthless, I don't know him personally. I have not put a camshaft in either from either manufacturers. I've not used a camshaft from either of those guys, but I know Ernesto. I know Ernesto, and I know how smart Ernesto is, and I know the lengths that Ernesto has gone through, and I know the companies that sell Ernesto's cam, and I trust most of those companies. All right. The Callis cam, I trust not to fail mechanically, engineering wise, physically fail, metallurgy wise. I trust Ernesto, and I trust his name on a product far more. And this is someone who is blind. This is someone who has not tested either. But I know Ernesto enough to go, if I was changing cams, it would be Ernesto's. And that is, and you could go, I don't trust Kevin's opinion for crap, so, and that's fine too. You don't have to. I don't explain. I mean, trust me. Trust me. I'm doing bone stock stuff here. All right. I'm talking to the masses. All right. There's very few high performance tuning guys who are coming to me for that level of tech. They're going to Greg Gaddis. They're going to shops. That's fine, as they should. But when it comes to people that I have confidence in, Ernesto is one of the very few. So take that for what you will. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that concludes Enrique. He gave me a super sticker because he didn't know how. I like this, Enrique. Okay, you're a boy. I like that. He says, I don't know how to do these super chats, so I just gave you $5. He goes, I want to talk more about two strokes. We have future episodes that are just going to be strictly classic ski stuff. And we've got future videos coming up that are going to be just strictly two-stroke stuff. For the most part, I don't think you're going to see a lot of two-stroke podcasts. I don't think you're going to see a lot of two-stroke IRLs. I might be wrong. We'll see how it goes. But because IRL is designed to talk to mainly people who are on the fence about a purchase, doing their due diligence, doing their homework, that's kind of the purpose of what this is. That, and of course, to bring guests in and have, banter and just a fun conversation and, talk about the sport, talk about the industry, things like that. All right, guys. Well, it's been an hour and a half. It has been a good time. I want to thank everyone for the super chats and the support. That means a whole heck of a lot. We don't sell you any sort of product. We haven't sold shirts in a while. So, any support that you guys give that keeps the lights on, that's fantastic. Allows us to make payroll. That's great. And until the next podcast, want to thank everyone and want to invite all of you over First, to obviously subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Presume that most of you have. And to check out watercraftjournal.com. That is where the rubber hits the road. That's where the real magazine is. That's where a lot of our sponsors and supporters hang out and advertise. And that is where most of our content is produced. So until the next video, guys, we want to thank you all. Wish you all a very good night and good week. And we will talk soon. And until the next video, we'll see you at the magazine.